Hello, my dear friends. My name is Anne Matthews. I'm the Clinic Director of the Belfast Chiropractic Clinic. I am recording some self-help videos for pregnant mums, and this is the second one, following on from the sacroiliac strain that I talked about earlier. So I wanted to give you some exercise and further tips on how to manage yourself during your pregnancy when we're both confined at home. So apologies, this is my home and I'm just shifted my study around in order to be able to present this video to you. So apologies if the quality is not the best. In the last video, I would like you to review it in terms of looking at the biomechanics of the pelvis. So I'm just got I'm just going to alter the screen as well. I'm just using a model pelvis. Yeah, these are the sacroiliacs at the back. This is the sacrum, which is this part in the middle of your back. And this is the pubic symphysis, this part at the front. Again, I'll just shift you so we can see. Just this part, just as you would come down just off your tummy and you touch the bony part of your pelvis. This is your pubic symphysis. So this is how the pelvis would be positioned inside you. Now, the majority of babies will present themselves in this position as they go down into the birth canal, but most babies will present themselves like this. So this is where your bump is. Yep. As explained in the last video, what I'm looking at is pelvic alignment and how you can look after your sacroiliacs in order to maintain ideal or optimal alignment. Because if we have got optimal alignment, we have got optimal positioning of the baby. So for example, if this sacroiliac, for example, on the left was not functioning properly, then the right would be over-functioning. It would be over-mobilized. So we would have a slight skew in the pelvis. So if we have a slight skew in the pelvis, it shifts the baby off. Yeah, and often mothers will complain of, I've got a pain just here. It's where the baby is lying. Yeah. So at any one time we want to think of our alignment, our midline alignment, our pelvic alignment and our shoulder alignment. So today I'd like to cover some of the exercises which will help you to maintain that. Now this of course is tied in with our breathing rhythm, because the more balanced we are, the better we can breathe. The more strained we are, the reverse happens. In order to minimize the sacrum, in the last video I was showing you how to sense your sacral movement. And what I was suggesting is come down your spine, track down into your sacrum, put the other hand in front of your pubic symphysis, just below your tummy, just below the bump, just here. And you're not pressing, you're just supporting it. So you go right underneath, and I want you to do this action. Now, later I'm just going to show you the cat and cow exercise to help you with this. But we want to keep the system stable. So the first thing is, especially when you're working from home and there's a lot of sitting in unusual chairs, not the office chairs that you would have in your workplace, but perhaps your chair at home isn't ideal. If it is the kitchen chair, for example, I would definitely be encouraging you to use cushions on it, or you can get a sensory cushion or a wobble cushion. Let's be creative in what we can use. I often advocate the fit sit range. So please do set your timer for 20 minutes so that you are getting up and down every 20 minutes, because your sacrum does not like to be compressed. Oh yes, the other point I wanted to make about the sacrum is that the sacrum needs to come out, needs to move out in this direction. When I say move out, we're only talking millimeters. It needs to do this action. And that's enough for the baby to have more space in your pelvis. So we're always looking at how can we optimize the space in the pelvis for the baby and for your comfort. So we want to open up the sacroiliacs. The last video I was showing you that this movement here, so the knee raising movement, is what makes your pelvis work. So it's called a reciprocal motion. So as this leg goes up, your pelvis goes back. As this leg goes up, your pelvis goes back. So we've got this reciprocal motion as we raise our knee up and down. Often mothers will explain to me that they can feel it in their leg, it's dragging or it's sore, and they can feel themselves doing this action. So I showed you the massage techniques earlier. We can develop those and developing into the legs. So we've talked about mini breaks. We've talked about this pelvic motion, which you can have a wee sense of doing, yeah, just ever so slightly. And you're just engaging your core, you're engaging your perineum, you're engaging this part, and you're just very lightly moving back and forth. It's surprising how comforting it is and how relaxing it is. And as we do it, I'm going to get you to I want you to feel yourself exhaling. In the times of stress that's in it at the moment, I think we're all being affected by it. We can feel our stress levels come up here, and we can feel that we're not breathing very well, and our shoulders are tense, our chest is tense. We can feel it here. And the baby doesn't like it either, because the baby is wondering what the blazes is going on. And the baby it doesn't want to be held and to be feeling this pressure. So we're going to work with this, and we're going to get your sacrum moving like so. So these knee exercises are really important. Now, when you start, you will feel a little bit wobbly. So I'm going to encourage you always to hold on to a surface. Doesn't matter, it's just not a balancing act, but I'm going to get you just to, now, you know what's kind of useful? If you do it opposite me, and I want you to see my midline, and I want you to stand opposite me, and I want you to keep an eye on the midline. Keeping an eye on verticals is really helpful to maintain your balance. So either side, raise your knee up, just to 90 degrees, nothing excessive, and the other side. And just raise it up 3 or 4 or 5 times. It's more the quality rather than the quantity. But as you do it, I want you to notice, does one side go up really easily, and the other side you kind of have to push it, and you tilt off to one side. Now that's your other indicator that maybe this side is your restricted side. So this is where I would encourage you then to go back into stretching the sacroiliac joint. I can just feel a little bit of mine just here. Hold it, and then just stretch out. And as you stretch out, I want you to exhale. So there's the knee raises. Now, your pelvis and your shoulder girdles are interconnected. So by doing arm circles, for example, coming up, stretch and circle round, nothing excessive. You don't have to go right round. I just want you to bring it up like so, and just bring it round to the side. That's enough. And the same on the other side, bringing it up, round to the side and down. And what we're doing is opening up our chest. We're allowing our diaphragm to stretch, and we're giving your baby more room, more elbow room, more room down the way, more room out the way, and more room this way. And then I'm going to get you to raise them up together, hold them, and then just down and round. You're going to create more space. I'm confined here. So there's knee raises, there are arm circles. You're going to take mini breaks, and I'm going just to demo 2 exercises on the floor. So I'm going to move the screen, and I'm going to demo the bridging exercise and the cat and cow. But when I'm down here, I'm going to talk about sleep. I'm going to demonstrate the sleep position that I want you to be in. So I want you to think again about the midline, horizontal here, here and here. So when you're sleeping, for example, and you raise your knee up, try not to sleep with your knee across your midline. So think midline. So for example, if this was the bed, for example, and I'm sleeping like this, I would have the pillow here, and I would be resting my knee on the pillow. So I'm not crossing the midline. Because that's why when you're waking up during the night, you kind of go, oh my goodness, I can't move. So ideally we want the pillow, I'm going to move the screen, we want the pillow between your knees like this. So when you're sleeping, you're in this position here. Now it's going to be hard for you to sleep with your legs outright. You'll find that you want to sleep slightly flexed here and here. These are just softer curves and softer on our joints. So generally, we're not going to cross the midline with your leg either side. And when you're sitting socially, I don't want you to sit with your legs crossed. Try to think symmetrically and try not to cross your midline. And when you do cross your midline, when you're crossing one leg over the other, like for example, you might find, God, I've got a favourite side, I want to do this. More than likely, it's the other side that's restricted. So this is why I'll get you to focus on always massaging both sides of your pelvis. Right? So the next two little bits, you've done the knee raise of the arm circles, and I want to pop down onto the floor. I've just made a makeshift mat here for myself. Yeah. So I would like you to start off with the bridging exercise, for example. So I'm going to get you to start here. A lot of you will be familiar with the bridging exercise. It's simply raising your pelvis up so that your knees are in line with your hips and your bumps up. But with your bump, you won't get up so far. But just to warm up, I would have you do slight, so you've got the baby here. Yeah, I would get you to do little knee raises like this, just to waken up the pelvis. The sacrum doesn't like to be compressed. It likes movement in the sacroiliacs. So we're going to just loosen them up first of all, and we're happy with that. Then I would get the pillow, the cushion. A long cushion is really useful because you can compress it between your knees and your ankles. The reason why I like a cushion this way, in this position, is that I want you then to get focused on as if you're pushing the cushion together. So you're going to focus on your knees and not on having to get up. So focus on your knees. I want your hands down by your side, and I want you just to think about your buttocks. And I'm simply going to get you just to flatten your spine. Just lift your sacrum, like I showed you earlier, just slightly off the floor. And just rock back and forth first of all. So you've got that rocking motion in your pelvis. Yeah? And then when you're comfortable with that, I'm going to get you just to exhale and just raise your pelvis up ever so slightly and then bring it down. We're not going to go to the full extent, the full level. We're just going to do it in increments. So raise it up and then down. When you're not balanced, you'll find yourself ever so slightly shaky. That's okay. That's just your indicator. That helps to monitor it. So we're going to bring it up and drop it down. And each time we're just going to go up that little bit further. Up and then down. And then I want you to exhale as you're doing it. And down. Whilst you're doing it, I want you to think about your shoulders and your hands, and really just allow yourself to ground on your shoulders and your hands and your elbows as you raise up and down. Don't forget the knees. Just compress them towards the cushion. Now what this exercise is really helpful for is when we have some pain. You have, when you're pregnant, certainly in that third trimester, when you're pregnant, when you are having some discomfort around your pubic symphysis, because this has got to do with your adductor muscles, the inner thigh muscles, because they have been strained because of the pelvic imbalance. So this is really good at engaging those muscles. Okay? Now, when you're asleep then, I want you to put the pillow between your knees like this, and then you're going to lie like so. And again, you're going to keep your shoulders level, your pelvis level, and your hips level. rather than twisting around too much. You might find it useful to have another little pillow here so you can rest your hand on, so you're keeping your body symmetrical and parallel to the chest, the tummy, the hips and down. Now the cat and cow is really helpful. So again, it's useful to remember your sacrum and just stroke your sacrum ever so slightly. Just put your hand here on your sacrum and you'll find yourself wanting to move your sacrum under your hand like this, ever so gently. You don't have to do excessive cat and cow, just light cat and cow. And again, you're going to breathe with it. So as you do the cow, and breathe in and as you breathe out. So I think that they're all the exercises I wanted to cover today. And some of you will be using a Swiss ball, and this is really helpful for the sacrum because again you're not compressing it. The sacrum likes you to move back and forth ever so slightly. Just be careful about with using a Swiss ball in your last trimester. Always keep it in a confined space so it doesn't roll off and you accidentally fall off it, because as your pregnancy develops, as your pregnancy progresses, our balance isn't quite so good. That's why it's important to work at these exercises as your pregnancy progresses. Now, I hope this has been helpful. Please give me feedback and we'll cover other topics as we go along. So please stay safe, take care, and I look forward to seeing you on the other side of this. Take care. Bye.